The NBA All-Star Game has become unwatchable. Hello, basketball enthusiasts. Welcome to another exciting video on our channel. Today, we will talk about the All-Star Game. The annual NBA All-Star Game event has become less competitive, falling into a spiral that seems increasingly difficult to witness and, in many ways, appears to be in a state of deterioration that could prove irreversible. First, to clear up any confusion, when we mention the All-Star Game, we are not referring to the entire event. That would be the All-Star Weekend. For example, on Friday, we have the Rising Star Challenge, and on Saturday, the dunk contests. In this case, I believe there was a good balance in the end, with great performances and a significant impact on viewership. It was the most watched event in the last 4 years, with more than 5 million people watching it on television. All of this happens before we get to Sunday's main course, which is supposed to be the highlight but actually turns into a lackluster basketball display that could hardly be less inspiring, considering the caliber of the players involved. If it weren't for my professional commitment to watching that game, I would have changed the channel in a matter of minutes. I find it hard to believe that I am alone in this feeling. I understand that the NBA season is grueling, and this weekend is supposed to be a break. The players treat it as such, at least to the extent they can, although they cannot help but fulfill all the media obligations and lace up their shoes for the game. The players are halfway through the regular season with 50 games played, to which we must add the preseason that they also play, and in some cases the figures that play in the World Cup. If they look ahead, they have around 30 regular season games left, and since we are talking about stars, surely the playoffs, not to mention those who compete in the Olympic Games. In short, they are athletes who manage to play between 80 and 100 high-performance games in the NBA between October and June, and then compete in what would be the international arena to later have a very slight break of a month and re-enter the NBA. Do you believe that in the only game where you could rest, you are going to compete to the maximum on an equal footing with the best in the league and with the risk of injury? However, the situation is laughable. The Eastern team won Sunday's game with a score of 211-186. It seems like a lie, but it is true. Both teams combined for a total of 168 three-pointers. There was not even an iota of competition. The All-Star Game is also designed mainly for the public, and not just any public. What I mean by this is that it seeks to attract the attention of young people and those who are not involved or do not even like the world of the NBA. The objective of this would be to search and find fans, giving them a demonstration of the most amazing things the league can offer, and sell them the idea that behind this spectacle, there is good competition worth following day by day. How many of us have gone in just to watch an All-Star Game? Probably many. The league would then try to draw your attention through this game that goes from bad to worse every year. There were also some standout moments. Damian Lillard, who won the Most Valuable Player award with no other merit than being the player in the East who decided to take the most shots, scored a pair of baskets from half-court. Tyrese Halliburton hit 5 three-pointers in 92 seconds. However, there is a group of fans who seem to think that whatever NBA players do is cool. But let me tell you, there is nothing impressive, funny, or captivating about watching tall men shoot basketballs into unprotected hoops. Boring passes and three-pointers during warm-ups offer nothing exciting. Karl Anthony Towns scored the dullest 50 points in basketball history. The most ridiculous thing is that the West team only made 35% of its three-pointers. Watching players shoot threes against zero defense is downright boring. Watching them move around the court without any sense of competition feels more like a punishment than a sporting spectacle. The question arises, what can the NBA do to solve the All-Star Game problem? Unfortunately, I can't think of much. We considered the possibility of a 1v1 or 3-on-3 tournament against 3, or perhaps assigning a quarter to each player, similar to baseball all-stars who receive 1 at-bat or 1 inning as a pitcher, rather than committing to a player or a full 48 toward 8 minutes. However, here lies the problem. You can have 1v1, 3v3, or 5v5 games, but unless the players are truly committed to competing, the game will not improve. The league experimented with the Elam ending, which seemed like a great late-game option, but by the second year they weren't taking it seriously either. I suggested the idea of bringing in non-NBA players for the dunk contest, but the NBA players would probably be afraid of being outplayed by a street player. Nobody wants to look ridiculous, and the only real way to avoid that is to actually compete. But it seems like no one wants to do that either. So what we're left with is a game governed by the most traditional unwritten rule in modern basketball. Nobody tries hard in the All-Star game. Nobody plays defense, nobody is injured, and nobody wins. Neither the West nor the East, and much less the fans, who are being patronized by this apathetic product. To me, it's an all-star game, so I don't think it should be super competitive, Anthony Edwards said. It's always fun. I don't know what they could do to make it more competitive. It's a break. I don't think anyone wants to come here and compete. Edwards' assessment is spot on, except for one thing. There's nothing funny about what we just witnessed. It was terrible. If the players had any pride, they would give the fans who fund their salaries something worth tuning in for. But the league is being complacent right now. It's difficult to get players to play consecutive nights in regular games, so expecting them to put in effort in an exhibition seems like a utopia, unless they get paid, of course. More money always seems to be the solution, right? A report from The Athletic suggests that players inspired by the new pay-per-play season tournament now want to be compensated for even minimal effort in the All-Star game. But here's the inconvenient truth. In this season, in which the season-opening tournament paid players on the winning team $500,000 each, that might be the only way to solve this problem. This seems to be the era of pay-per-play. Although the league already has players who exceed $50 million in annual salary and a minimum of 7 figures, $1.1 million. As a league source shared, when the players spoke privately about why they had opted for this unattractive style of play, they set a precedent that likely won't be forgotten soon. The 10 starters in Sunday's All-Star game are making a combined $378.6 million this season. And that is just the beginning. There were 24 All-Stars in total. Will these players be paid a collective salary close to $1 billion this season alone? And now, must they be paid even more for the inconvenience of playing a real basketball game for the fans who make those salaries possible in the first place? The safe and correct answer might be to eliminate All-Star Week entirely, or simply participate in the skills competitions, coming up with creative ways to liven them up. The showdown between Steph and Sabrina was a good start. All-Stars could be named for recognition, but the actual game could be dispensed with. Incorporating this extra week into the regular season, extending the schedule enough to eliminate most, if not all, back-to-back games, could improve the regular season product, which remains a priority for the league and should remain so. That said, that's not happening. The NBA All-Star Game makes too much money, and it's not going away. Next year, we will be here, watching the same old game and commenting on how absurd it is that no one makes an effort or cares. Not even the game can make this fun. So, here are the things. It is a product that cannot be seen, and, as far as I can imagine, is also irreparable. Unless these players suddenly decide to accept the responsibility they have, as highly paid entertainers, to do their jobs for the fans who, like I said, fund their salaries. In short, the NBA All-Star Game faces several significant challenges that threaten its relevance and appeal to fans. The lack of competition, player disinterest, and an apparent absence of effective solutions raise questions about the event's future. Despite suggestions such as pay for performance, it is clear that the problem is complex and lacks an easy solution. Ultimately, the NBA needs to reconsider its approach to the All-Star Game and explore creative alternatives to revitalize the event and regain fan interest.